Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the board meeting for the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. I've asked Director Sailors to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much, Director Sailors. Okay, we have our Metro Cable announcement. Open session meeting videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Monday, August 26th at 6 p.m. and Tuesday, August 27th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. We now come to the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, I understand we have a number of speakers tonight.
We do.
Would you please initiate?
Yes. The first speaker this evening is Ms. Portia Middleton. And while they are joining me at the podium, I will remind our speakers that there is a 3-minute timer, and the timer is located in the lower left-hand corner that you can see from that area. It's a red timer that counts down.
Good evening. Thank you for having me and offering the opportunity to speak. I'm a council member in the city of Citrus Heights, and for the past couple of years, my mother and I have worked to put together a community event called Cookies with Santa. And we make sure that we offer safety personnel the opportunity to work with our children and to bring a free event to them so that they can have a free picture with Santa Claus, cookies, milk, and a toy, and a memory of a great impression of what it's like to have support from local safety officials. And we're looking forward to partnering with you in some aspect to make sure that we can kind of bring that aspect into Citrus Heights. We didn't have it with the fire department a couple years ago. That was probably my fault. I didn't really think about it. I just kind of focused on Citrus Heights and the PD and the Sayonara Center and the other services that were there. But I think that this year we should really expand out and include you all in that process. And I'm going to allow my mother to say a couple words.
I only have a couple of words. So I am here today because I see a lot of you and I know a lot of you, and I can get you all at one time. So when I call you, don't act like you don't know me. You saw me here, and whatever you can do to help us make this a fun event for the children in Citrus Heights. A lot of the disadvantaged children do come. They do get everything for free. There is no cost to any of the children. So I want you to remember me. I'm Gigi. So when you see me at your firehouse or here in this office asking for help, just kind of think of what you can do. And I'm probably going to send out an email, and you'll have choices. And if you have something better that you feel would provide something else for us, then tell me. We would love to have a fire truck, and we would love to have some firefighters there in uniform. The police come in their uniform, and they bring their cars, and it's really a big deal. And they also give a certificate where the kids can go and tour the police station. So that might be good for touring a fire station. So everybody give that some thought, please. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a high degree of confidence that things will work out. Thank you. All right, next on the list, Madam Clerk.
Next up, we have Mr. Elias.
Okay. Good evening, Board. My name is Elias. I own Laundry Heaven on Elkhorn and Andrea in Sacramento. And on July 24th, we had an inspection. I should say the landlord had an inspection. So anyway, to make a long story short, the Sacramento Metro Fire asked us to remove roll-up doors that we use for securities at our establishment. And I have a few owners with me, same situation. So here I am here to ask for some help to keep, these doors have been up for 20 years. They're roll-up doors. They pretty much come down at night after hours. We lock them. We roll them up during the day. And the reason they want us to remove them is for obstruction entrance. So I'm here to ask the board to help us keep them up because we have tremendous amount of security at night. That area is just, we're having a hard time just dealing with transients, homeless. I mean, in the past, they break a plate of glass just to grab a 2-liter Pepsi. With these doors being down at night, we sleep good at night, and we don't feel they're obstructing anything. Especially, we close at 9. We leave the premises around 11. We roll them down, lock them. We come back at 6 and open them up. We open the customers at 7. So, I'm here to ask for your help.
Sorry. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Elias. I believe our fire marshal is in the audience, and she'll be glad to, to exchange some cards, and then we can follow up.
This is something new, I assume. But from what I hear, Sacramento area is going through a lot of these inspections and a lot of these, asking for removals. So. Mm-hmm. But it's nothing that we can. We've tried everything else. There's no way you can leave plain glass pane in the middle of the night and on Elkhorn and Andrea. It's just, and 20 years we haven't had one incident. The main concern is human safety. We're not going to lock customers inside our establishment. So the only safety that would be if somebody breaks in through the ceiling, and that's totally a different subject there. But 20 years, no incidents whatsoever of anybody breaking in. We talked to the sheriff department. The sheriff department likes him because of less incidents, security reasons. But Metro Fire wants us to remove them and put security grills. Security grills, they will not help us at all. They can still view what's inside, and they'll do the damage they want to do. So please see what you can help us with.
Thank you for drawing this to our
Thank you.
attention, and we'll be able to follow up, and
All right.
so will the Community Risk Reduction Division.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Madam Clerk, do we have additional speakers?
Yes, Mr. Surinder.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. We have the same issue, same concern. Only I want to say, now we are in peace zone. Please don't send us to war zone. We cannot sleep at night. That's all I have to say. Otherwise, concern is the same. Mr. Elias said, please save us. Because we don't want to go to the war zone. Because a lot of drug, a lot of homeless, they don't care for police officer. Who we are nothing. They can do anything. They are better in jail than the sleeping on the road. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Surrender. Madam Clerk, do we have our next speaker?
Yes, I believe the last speaker on this item is Mr. Gagan.
Hello, Board. Same issues, same concerns, basically. They've been in effect for almost 20 years. My parents have been in the business for almost 30 years. And I only can remember midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., phone ringing, glass break, phone ringing, somebody broken. Ever since we've had these shutters, those issues have been disappeared. What I'm looking for is a solution. If there's some way we can work, I know there's those fire safety boxes where we can put the key in if anything like that fire needs to get in there. And there's just a simple padlock that's like anything like that's what I'm really looking forward to, working with and seeing if there's a solution we can come up with. The grills do work just with us and how we've been. People are just really dumb in the area. We've had on camera people coming out in the mirror, then throwing a rock at it. We've had the most dumbest instances ever. It's just funny, but it's just a glass break we're worried about. I like the grill idea. It looks really classy, better. It doesn't look so ugly. It makes the neighborhood look better. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to be waking up 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody's breaking on the door, yanking on the door. Those doors have been there for so many years, and we've never had any issue with it. I understand the fire issue. I understand the concerns of why this was put into place. But if there's any way we can work around it to make sure that, fire's okay and we're both okay, that's all I'm really looking for here today. Appreciate you guys listening to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Gagan. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we have a next speaker on the next item.
We have one more speaker this evening, Mr. Roger Mitchell, and this will be our final speaker.
Board members, Chief Harm, my name is Roger Mitchell from the Rio Linda area. I stand tonight before you to announce our fundraising dinner, most of you know, for the restoration of Rio Linda's second fire truck and the old firehouse in Rio Linda. We're doing quite well. Some of the paint work has started, the seats off to the upholsterer. And our fundraising dinner is the 5th of October, 5 o'clock, the normal place at the Rio Linda Recreation and Park District. Most of you have attended in the past, and we appreciate that. This year, our speakers are going to be a little different. Some of the people, as the upholsterer, the painter, and the artist that does the artwork on the truck, are going to be there to speak for 3 or 4 minutes. But we have 2 other speakers. One is not sure he can be there yet. The other person is pretty much confirmed, and they are literally world-class speakers. We are lucky to tell you that Sue Frost, our supervisor, will be there, and she is actually being a person that is going to, you might say, help defray the cost for the dinner this year. So that's a great help. And our other speaker, again, not sure of his schedule, but if his schedule works out, again, a world-class speaker, and that will be Chief Todd Harms. So at this time, I would be willing to answer any questions you might have. I would share one last thought with you. I had a question the other day of how much longer is this project going to take? Because all of you know it's been a long-term project. It boils down to money. I had to make an estimation on the cost when we started of $500,000 to restore this truck because we didn't know what we were getting into. So I would tell you just one example of the cost. The seat that 2 small people can sit in looks like a little buggy seat, to be quite honest with you. There's 75 man-hours into that seat. If you correlate that to a minimum of $100 an hour of restoration work, that's $7,500 for a seat. And there's $25,000 in the pump. So it is a long-term project. But it's coming quite along. You're always welcome to come by and see what we're doing. And I thank you. And again, any questions? If not, why, we look forward to seeing some of you at our fundraiser. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
There are no more speakers.
Okay, thank you. All right, we come to our consent items. Any motion for?
Madam Chair, I'll move the consent.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. Please call the roll.
Director Sailors.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
And Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to our action item. We have a contract extension with DynCorp Aircraft Support. We have Deputy Chief Bridge to tell us all about this item.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Directors, President Jones. My name is Eric Bridge, Deputy Chief Operations, and with me I brought Battalion Chief of our Special Operations, Battalion Chief, I'm sorry, all of a sudden I just lost my frame of mind here. Chris Green is with me. I almost called you Tyler Wagaman for some reason. Tyler's usually up here with me. So Chris Green has oversight of our air program. He's going to take it from here, and he's going to give you a little brief summary of the contract extension that we're requesting.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief Bridge. Good evening, President, Directors, and Chief Harms. Just a brief summary of what you see in front of you. We're asking tonight to support staff's recommendation for the extension of the Metro Fire Aircraft Support contract with DynCorp. This is the original contract that we put into place 2 years ago. It was a 2-year contract with an optional 1-year renewal for the final year. So what we're asking is for contract authority to extend this for the final year. There's been a couple different parts of this contract that's come to the board before. Just this past March, this contract was brought to the board for an increase in hourly rate for the mechanics, and also the addition of 1 mechanic just to further augment the fleet that we currently have. So what we're asking for tonight is really consolidating everything into a 1-year contract extension. I'm more than happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Any fellow board members have questions or comments for the chief? All right, sir. Thank you very much. Any other further comments, Chief Bridge, Chief Green?
If I could.
Yes.
Why just 1 year?
Excellent question. This was picked up based on the original contract. I do not have the history that I can explore tonight on why it was a 2-year contract with an optional for a third. However, our long-term plan is to continue with this contract through 2020, middle of next year, and we're going to sit down later this fall and explore our options for the future after this contract expires. All right. And the other part of it is there's a at the inception of this contract 2 years ago, there was the foresight of increasing the fleet from 2 helicopters to more, which the staff at that time wanted the ability to massage that contract in a renewal stage as opposed to breaching the contract and writing a new one mid-course.
All right. Thanks for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? If not, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
We need a motion.
Sorry? Entertain the motion, and then we'll call the roll.
Madam Chair, I would move staff's recommendation and extend the agreement by a year.
I'd second that.
All right, it's been first and seconded, and now we can call the roll.
Director Sailors.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
And Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to come to our report section, President's Report. I would like to compliment a large number of our senior staff as well as the representatives from the City of Rancho Cordova for a very fruitful and participatory 2x2 meeting we had earlier this week. A lot of items were touched upon and connections made for future development, future exchange of ideas, information, and communication. And that's what all these 2x2s are about. And I really appreciate senior staff with the direction of Chief Harms. I really appreciate everybody getting all that together and having our items addressed, discussed, and continuing our relationship with the City of Rancho Cordova. All right, now we're going to move to the Fire Chief's report.
Good evening, Directors. We have a reassignment. Captain Dan Hoy took a position in the training as a day captain. Dan has been very involved with the hazmat program, so I think Chris Green will probably try to keep him involved in that, but he'll be a great person over into the training area. We have a new hire of a Fire Inspector 2, Rebecca Lida. It's nice with that position is that she is trained and certified and comes in with quite a bit of experience and is able to kind of figure out learn the Metro way and then be able to move forward from there. There is a firefighter 1 or a fire inspector 1 and a lateral fire inspector recruitment that is out there. And the last 2 things is last week I had an opportunity. I sit on an advisory board for Underwriters Laboratory that focus on the fire service, changes in the American fire services, and does a lot of research. 2 of the things that were very interesting is that they're tackling a project about smoke alarms, the future of them, batteries, the ability to tell if it is something that is a nuisance, like a stove or some type of smoke versus a stove fire. Pretty amazing, the technology and what they showed. Going away from a battery into really a unit that works 10 years, and then you get rid of them. We also did a lot of discussion on firefighter injuries and some fatalities that happened over the past year, and what things research can do and what things they can do to improve those incidents and the outcome from those incidents. The last thing, as President Jones said, we had a really good meeting with Rancho Cordova. My takeaway is that they have a map that's a wall map there. And it shows really the growth and the development in Rancho Cordova, kind of where it had started at and what had happened over maybe the last 10 or 15 years. But really what is coming and what's behind us with Mather and around, and then how much development truly isn't just anything of this is what we think is going to be developed, but are at a position where they're ready to pull permits, ready to move forward. Just a lot of great growth, and then with that will become kind of the light industry that will come in behind that to support that. So a lot of areas I think that everybody's been looking at saying someday there's going to be houses and growth here, and that growth is really happening now. That ends my report unless you have any questions.
Any question for the chief? Thank you, Chief. We have our operations report from Deputy Chief Bridge.
All right, I'm back. I'll give you a brief overview from the last 2 weeks of the activities we've had in the district. Since 2 weeks ago, we've responded over 3,800 calls. 75% of those calls were EMS related, and we continue to maintain a 70% transport rate. When we look at at those calls, when you break that out, the 3,800 for 2 week, 14-day period, in our district, in our 360 square mile area, we are averaging anywhere from about 270 to 300 calls a day. And of course, if you multiply that out times every day, it comes out to right about 100,000 calls a year. So we're on pace for that. Again, I think, which is an increase from where we were last year, but by a little bit. So I'm just trying to give you a little perspective. Our top unit performance terms in terms of dispatches, the busiest medic unit since the last board meeting was Medic 24 with 211 responses. So that comes out 15 a day. To give you a perspective. Our busiest engine company was Engine 53 with 178, and that comes out to just about 13 a day. So our units are busy. We have about close to 40% of them in double digits, so our activity is high. So they're getting a lot of opportunity out there to assist the public in need. But the call volume's going up, but they're doing a fantastic job. August the 9th, we had a building fire in Citrus Heights. The crews did a fantastic job. It was a one-story strip mall fire that the crews got a handle on, so we kept it to one alarm. There was a garage fire down over in Carmichael, Arden area over off Kingsford. There was a vehicle fire in a garage that created a pretty good working garage fire. Crews did a good job there saving the home. And then on August the 15th, we had another fire in Fair Oaks that turned out to be, it was on, if I'm pronouncing it right, it was Wallali Way. I think it's, if I'm getting that. I don't know if you guys were on that, but I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was originally dispatched as a smoke investigation, and then it was upgraded to a full residential structure fire. So again, kept to one alarm, no injuries. Good job. The crews, again, did a fantastic job. So that's just a little snapshot over the last 2 weeks. If you don't have any questions, that's my report for you.
Any questions or comments for Chief Bridge? All right, sir, thank you very much. Okay, we come to the Firefighters Local 522 report. Welcome, Mr. Jameson.
Good evening, President Jones, Board of Directors, Chief Harms. I apologize, I'm a little underdressed tonight. Again, following Chief Bridge. I just came back today from Nashville from the Redmond Conference, Health and Safety for the IFF. Record attendance, I think it was over 1,300 IF members and leaders. Chief Bridge talked about 75% of the calls being EMS. And we all know that fire service has basically taken over EMS in this country. And it's also been kind of eye-opening to go there and see, we do get injured on fires, we do get hurt, we do get cancer, but some of the stuff that's really starting to hurt us both from the mental standpoint and just physically is the EMS calls. They're rising. We're running more calls. We're more exposure to people. There's more people on the street who have a mental health crisis and a lack of respect for authority. One of the things that was very interesting to see was, and Director Barnes can speak to this, if you punch a cop, it's a big deal. But around this country, if you punch a firefighter, it's not a big deal. It's basically treated, and I had a personal experience where I got attacked in the back of the ambulance, was punched, and the police officer asked me, what did I want to do? I was actually surprised by that. I wanted to go home, that night. But we were presented a couple of things that could happen here, and I think it speaks, and we need to start having these conversations, and we are having these conversations, and I know that our staff is aware of the dangers out there, but we had an EMT from Chicago come and talk to us who just jumped in to help her partner, and she had her whole face split open by a guy who was a convicted felon, and he walked away, and they drove themselves to the hospital. And a guy in San Diego, another firefighter paramedic in San Diego, a simple call, you could see it happen on our light rail, was stabbed 3 times in 5 seconds. We watched the video, and his friend, his crewmate, jumped in and was stabbed another 3 times. So it's crazy what's going on out there, and I know with EMS and the more we do, we're going to have to get wiser, and things are getting a little bit more violent out there. But it was to think that attacking a firefighter is not that big of a deal from a lot of law enforcement perspective was eye-opening. And then just to see the stories out there and that we're all dealing with that around the country and trying to find ways. So it's always going to be my goal to bring back that information to you and work with the board, work with the chief and his staff to find ways to lessen the burden and protect our members. And I know that you guys believe in that. And so that's all I have. I just wanted to report back on that. Again, I always appreciate you guys answering my phone calls and the conversations. So unless you have any questions for me, I'm all done.
Mm-hmm. Are there any questions? Sir?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here, especially after a flight and bringing that information back. But you're absolutely right. There's an obligation to respond and provide a service, right? And in that service, you can get hurt. So I appreciate it. I always challenge a membership, too. Thank you for handling the phone call, especially in these last few weeks. You're always there to answer the phone calls. If you think he just sits in the office and makes decisions, I'd say try and do a ride along with him a couple of days and see if you can keep up. So for that, thank you. I know you represent the membership well, but you bring up a great point about taking it serious when there's assaults on personnel.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trevor, just a quick question. Is there anything going on at the legislative level to make a change in the law?
That's kind of where the conversations are starting. So I think we're having these conversations this year, and then next year will be convention, and that's where you'll start to see the resolutions come to the floor and figure out ways to support that. And I imagine from there, that's when we go to legislative conference the following year and start walking the halls of Congress and the state houses and the local governments to try to get those protections in place.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for bringing these super important issues
Thank you.
to the forefront. Thank you. All right. Moving on, we have our committee and delegate reports. There is no report for the executive committee. Moving to the Communications Center, JPA.
Yeah, the name is wrong there. So I'm here to report out for Chief Wagaman. Just quickly on the Communications Center JPA, there was a special meeting back a week ago today, mostly personnel in nature. I'll report out in closed session. The next Communications Center JPA meeting is here on August the 27th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, sir. We have California Fire and Rescue Training, JPA. Deputy Chief Shannon, welcome.
Good evening. California Fire Rescue JPA hasn't met for some time. They will be meeting September 19th across the hall at 4 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. We have our Finance and Audit Committee, Director Kelly.
The Finance and Audit Committee met this evening. We heard a report on the on the expenditures as of April 30th. We also heard our final budget, and that will be before the rest of the board, our first meeting in September.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. There is no report from the Policy Committee. We'll move on to board member questions and comments, and we'll go ahead and start on my left and go through all the board members' questions and comments, and then we'll move to closed session. All right. Director
Thank you, Madam
Barnes.
Chair. Appreciate it. I just want to thank all the colleagues, especially Melissa, for handling the phone calls in my absent. Life gets in the way, and I just can't always make the meeting, so I do apologize. When you hear about all the the enormity, I would say, I guess I was trying to word search there, I shouldn't have. All the calls that are run in a 2-week span, and you think 15 calls in a shift is, people aren't getting sleep, they're not getting downtime. So I appreciate everybody looking out for the wellness and the well-being of those, because it's not only the response, it's what they're seeing and they're exposed to on those responses. Those images they'll never be able to erase. So I always say, take care of one another. We believe in you. Being part of a first-class organization is nice, and representing that is even better. One last thing I have is Sacramento State football on August 31st is having a public safety appreciation night. A promo code has gone out to Metro Fire. Captain Vessel, thank you very much for helping organize that. But fire and law representatives will be there. There's a complimentary ticket for the membership, all personnel inside the organizations. And then SPD Officer O'Sullivan's family is going to be there. They have a scholarship for their LEX program, and they've already reached $30,000 for that scholarship, and they're projecting 50 by the time the game happens. So if you can make it, love to see you there. We're going to do it kind of like we do for our game, the Guns and Hoses. And they ask for all the bells and whistles, and we'll see what we can do. But I know Captain Vessel, he's got a great program for him. So thank you for doing that. And Chief, thank you for allowing that and that support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Barnes. Director Wood?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We heard from Trevor earlier about all the dangers and the increasing dangers that our men and women and first responders in general are facing. And since our last meeting, we've learned that again in our state with the loss of CHP Officer Andre Moy on August 12th, Andre Moy Jr., excuse me. So I just would ask that we have a moment for him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Saylor? No comment? Director Kelly?
I wanted to thank the council member from Citrus Heights, Ms. Middleton, for coming to our meeting. And it'd be great if we would support that program and partner with them. Certainly, we don't want fire taking all the glory, and it is a contract city, so it certainly makes sense. I would also like to urge us to communicate with the gentlemen that were here that have concerns about their businesses. I just, from the dais, we can't do it, but hopefully somebody can help them understand what a roll-up door that is well secured, what kind of problem that presents for fire. I'm not sure they quite understood it, but anyhow, I would urge us to communicate well with them and come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kelly. Director Sheets? No comment. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to reconfirm my previous director's comments and add one thank you to Chris Vestal and Chris Dargan on behalf of the American River Parkway Coalition Group. A thank you to both of them and to Metro Fire for hosting our meeting last month here in these chambers. We appreciate the hospitality, and both Chris's did an excellent job answering questions and assisting the Parkway Coalition with helping to understand some of the fire concerns, fire needs within the Parkway. So thank you to those two gentlemen. And with that, we move to closed session.
Moment of silence now or later?
Write down the name.
What's the name?
We'll do it later. We can do it.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.